Hello, hello? Hello? Can you mofos hear me? Anyways, I want to first start off by saying I love you. And thanks for listening. You're now tuned in to the Pretty Interesting Podcast. I'm going to be your host tonight, or the morning, or afternoon, whenever you're listening. Buckle up! Hey, yo, Jen, let's get it cracking. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it! Welcome to Pretty Interesting, and I'm your host, Mr. Willis. What you talking about, Willis? I heard it before. Stop it.
Episode 1, what's going on, man?
What it do, what it do, what it do?
Hey, for people who may not know who you are, please tell them about yourself.
The name is Justin Big Pretty Willis. I am 32. Yeah, man, I'm a professional fighter, one of the best in the world. On my way to become the best in the world. I love to do what I do. I'm an artist at heart, and yeah, welcome to my show.
Hey, what should people expect from this show?
One of a kind realness, man. We're gonna talk about everything and anything. You know, there is no over here. You know, I practice my right of freedom of speech to the fullest, and we gonna get it.
Are there any fighters you grew up watching?
Um, you know, I guess like everybody else, they were fooled by people like Bruce Lee. Not saying he didn't have any talent or anything like that. I'm just saying that he was he was put in front of us for a reason. You know, it's the circus. But besides him, not really. I mean, of course, like Mike Tyson. But I grew up in a group home setting, so I didn't really get a chance to really be entertained by TV, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I was pretty much under lock and key my childhood years, and broke as shit when I did live with my family.
Hey, UFC 241 is coming up this Saturday.
Oh,
You excited to see it?
Man, I am super excited.
Any fight predictions? Let's start off with Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa.
Costa.
Yeah.
I think Romero. I like Romero, man. I do respect him as a fighter, but I have to give it up to the young destroyer, Mr. Costa. I think that he's gonna go in there and do what it does, and I think he's gonna get the. I think it's gonna be a beautiful fight, but I do think it's gonna end with a finish, and I give the finish to Costa by second round TKO.
Except for an upset.
Yeah, I think so.
Anthony Pettis and Nate Diaz finally happening.
Oh, that's very interesting. Pretty interesting. And I'm gonna have to go in that fight. I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Pettis. I think Pettis is a little bit more well-rounded. You can never underestimate the toughness of one of the Diaz brothers, but I just think that Mr. Pettis is gonna have a little bit too much for him.
And of course, how could I forget your teammate DC versus Stipe Part 2.
I'm gonna have to give this to DC. I'm gonna have to give it to him by decision, 5 rounds. He's gonna have to earn this one, but I do think he will get the nod. Last time, he surprised him, which is every knockout is a surprise, right? Nobody go in there and say, "Oh, I'm gonna get knocked out," So he obviously got surprised, and his shot was beautiful. But this time, I feel as though Stipe is gonna come a little bit more fine-tuned, a little bit more hungry. Because he went out there and got embarrassed and got his belt taken. So see him come in very, very hungry, but I see the same results. Whereas DC raising his hand at the end of the 5 rounds.
So you're saying he's gonna get his ass beat for the second time?
I think I'm trying to be nice here. Gosh, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I give it a 5-round decision. I say 4 rounds to 1. If I would have to, 4 rounds to 1.
With that being said, tell us about your last fight. What happened, man?
My last fight. Hey, you looking at me all weird and shit. Like, what happened in your last fight? What happened is, I'm just gonna give it 100%, man. How it is, and
tell us the truth.
Get it. This is gonna be pretty interesting. And what happened is and people won't get this, but I'm really, really, when it comes towards my people, when it comes to another brown man, I'm very sympathetic towards, because I understand uh, how it is to grow up on the streets as being a brown man in a society of evil and people who are ignorant towards what people look like, and so this was my first time fighting another brother, and I think that you know I took that in there, so I didn't really want to kill him like I do most other people, and I feel as though now I've learned my lesson. You can't go in there because he doesn't have that sense of arrival. A lot of these guys don't have that sense of arrival where you really don't want to hurt your same kind, but I know it's a part of the profession that I have to. I must. And me being who I am, knowing I am the best in the world, I'm going to have to run through a few of my brothers. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I apologize ahead of time. But now I understand the feeling, and now I've learned from that feeling. I've grown from that feeling, and now it's time to conquer that feeling.
I'm also hearing some stories that something happened in the what do you call it, the backstage
Oh yeah.
during your fight
Oh
or
yeah.
prior to your fight.
Yeah. So backstage, I didn't bring him. A fella came to watch the fight. He was a fan, and he had previously had some sort of disagreement with Mr. Blades, and that disagreement with Mr. Blades, it kind of carried over where that individual came to visit my fight, and when he came to my fight, he ran past Curtis Blades, and when he ran past Curtis Blades, he had some words for Curtis, and in those words, Curtis, it was no threats. We have the video. I can get the video. It is what it is. There was no threats in that situation. It was just like, hey man, after you and Big Pretty fight, how about this? How about we spar afterwards? And what Curtis said, I agree, because he saw it wasn't on anything like on some malicious stuff. It was just like, let's spar, right? And he agreed in the video, and he went back to the UFC and he chirp 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 chirp. He snitched. And so at that point, I was just like, man, this is not only a brother, but this is a broken brother. This is one of those. This is one of those police officer brothers. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of then I start feeling sorry for the guy a little bit, and then so the next day I had no control. They ran past each other again, and they had some talk, some skirmish. So Curtis Blades basically said that he felt like his life was in risk, and I was responsible. So they came up to my hotel room 2 days before the fight, and they're asking where this other guy is. I'm like, I don't know where the hell this other guy is. Whatever folk they have is between them. That's it. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's man folk. But understanding that this guy is a police officer, he kept on coming at the situation where open the door, and there was like 15 like police mixed with UFC staff. Where's he at? Where's he at? You need to call him now and come up here. Where's he at? I'm trying to relax. This is fight literally week 2 days, and you can imagine I'm like in my zen zone. I'm laying down, no shirt on, just drawers. You know what I mean? I'm up at the door, no fucks given. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting ready for war. Where's he at? And I'm all the guys that are in the room. I'm asking them like, hey man, find this guy. Okay, I don't know where he is. Find this guy and tell him go somewhere else. Right? They at the front door. You can't have guys here like this. I was like, man, I didn't have nothing here, like nothing.
So you're completely unaware of what's going on between two of them.
No, between their two folk, that was literally between them two. So no, I was not aware of that situation until the situation got out of hand. Then I became aware of the situation.
A lot of people have been asking. So what's the relationship between you and the UFC right now?
With me and the UFC, it's one of those situations where a misunderstanding went out of control, and I'm a guy where if I'm wrong, I'm wrong sometimes, and if I'm wrong sometimes, as a man, I'll say I'm wrong. But we're talking about a business here. When a business is wrong, it's really hard for them to come to that conclusion and admit that conclusion on a loud platform. So then there has to be some type of narrative like if your fault. But welcome back. It's your fault. Get the fuck away. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. Like, so you're never going to get an honest response especially when the whole situation, they didn't even know my story. They just went off of the police officer's story. The police officer being Curtis Blades and his daddy.
Is he a civilian?
This is a citizen's arrest. You put your hands behind your back while I'm calling the police, and they'll bring the real handcuffs.
I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, no, man. So,
hey, man. So what made you decide, to become a professional fighter?
Oh man, I was literally born into this, and people always say,
fighting has to find you. You don't find fighting.
Fake ass Mr. Miyagi be saying shit like that, but nah, man, like I was born for this shit. I didn't go to school to do this. I didn't, what I mean? I grew up where, I had to fight. And in those times where I had to fight, I was in this place called, Frago Treatment Center. And at Frago Treatment Center, which was in Oakland, imagine a room, like a 10 by 10 room, which was like the staff office, 10 by 10, bang, 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 normal size room. And that's where the staff had their desk, et cetera, their old school VCR camera monitors where they could see the whole facility, but like only one of the cameras worked, and all the kids knew with one camera that worked. So nobody ever traveled in that corner where the camera worked, but no other cameras. They would all just show for people who might have want to break in or something like that. But the kids, there was 32 kids in this home. So can you imagine 32 badass kids, man, with no type of normal, conventional raising? Everybody has given up on these kids. So a lot of them have given up on themselves. So let's say, you living in this house of 32, 29 of them believe that they're freaking worthless. 3 of them are like, man, I'm going to make it. Right? And I was always one of those 3. So back to the office. The office was 10 by 10 with the desk, et cetera, the camera. And there was a window. And in that window, it was an opening to the living room. So, but you, like just the window. In order to get to the living room, the living room, you had to come out the staff office and bust a left. And that room was like huge, just the size, imagine for 32 kids. And around the whole room, there was futons. And one opening on one side of the room where there was the cart TV where they can put the cart TV where we'll plug it up and watch our VCH tapes, VHS tapes. You know what I'm saying? So, what used to happen is 32 kids would be in that room. Staff would be in their staff room looking into the room while kids were in rotation and fighting. Like literally fighting. And whoever won would get extra privileges, extra levels, extra, you know what I mean? And staff would be in there betting on us.
It's like a little underground fight club.
Yeah, because who would believe us? Literally. I guarantee from that group of 32, there's probably, I don't want to like hex us, but, more than half have to be dead or in prison. That's a fact. I'm willing to certify that, you know what I mean, and notarize that's a fact. I say about half are either dead or in prison.
Survival of the fittest.
100%. So people don't understand this, like that motto, learn, grow, conquer, right? So again, this is my motto. Go get your merch, www.bigpretty.world. Go get your merch. But this motto has literally been with me since I've been about 9-10 years old. Whereas I had a staff member, or that was a part of the staff. He was a counselor named Mike Bryant. Shout out Mike. He used to always tell me this same thing: learn from your mistakes, grow from your mistakes, and then conquer your mistakes. That's what this means. So I've been very, very blessed to have certain people that have that I would say is divine intervention that has come through at certain periods of my life and helped me progress through. That's how I know, God has me ordained for something special, and I can completely own that.
Um, for people who are interested in getting to know you more, we know that you've spoke about your mom and
Uh-huh.
then your grandma in the past. Could you please tell us more about that?
Specifically,
Yeah, for your like your relationship with your grandmother and your mother.
well, my grandma, I'll get to her first. No, actually, I just want to explain this overall, and this is a part of my mission. One of the parts of the mission is, especially in the brown community, the reason why the brown community has not progressed, and brown meaning, there's a whole bunch of brown, right? Because a lot of people who have been conquered who have been brown. So when you get conquered, it comes along with like a mindset, and it's subtle, and that mindset is like you can't even forgive the colonizer because you can't. They're still here. So until you're able to forgive yourself, forgive them, how do you progress out of that mindset? How do you actually move past them? You never will, and that's a part of the deception. So I'll go a little bit further in that, where even when it comes to the personal relationship, one has to forgive those who trespass against them. That's a part of the Lord's Prayer. But we have people who don't forgive nothing, don't forget nothing, and just go around carrying these boulders. So what happened with my mother is I grew up very rough. Where I know my mom, and it happens a lot in the brown community. When your father leaves or they have a bad relationship, a lot of times the father is not leaving because of the kid, he's leaving because of the woman. That's literally what happened during
They outgrow each other sometimes, right? Is it fair to
outgrow
say?
outgrow or is this toxic? Because anytime you having children out of wedlock, as soon as you have a kid, then then all those things that you weren't prepared for, you didn't prepare for. You know what I mean? You didn't. We can bring God into it. You weren't validated for. It's not a blessing. The baby's a blessing, but the relationship, you need God's blessing. Then He'll help you throughout the situation. So in order to, my mom never forgave him, and so in not forgiving him, she took out her pain on him for him on me. You get what I'm saying? And this is something that is subconscious. They don't understand that they're doing it. And that quote where it's like uh uh shoot, you reflect what you deflect, or you reflect, or you deflect what you reflect, or you reflect what you deflect. It makes sense. So like usually, like how you feel inside, if you don't have those things really worked out, you can't really you can't really control what comes through your pores. It's kind of like when you drink alcohol the night before, and you go for a run, and next thing you know, you smell like gin. Everybody's like, "Where the fucking party at?" And you're like, "Shit, the party was last night. What it do, baby?" You know what I'm talking about, though.
What it do, baby? That Kawhi Leonard.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when and so a lot of her behaviors of her disliking my father, they were outpoured on me. And sorry if that saying was wrong, but reflect, deflect. You get what the fuck I'm saying, though. All right, I go back.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, but you get what I'm saying. All right. So her ill feelings towards him came out on me, and so when that happens, you're gonna have just a toxic relationship with a child, because then she's treating a child like a grown man. Because a woman can't. A woman doesn't know how to raise a man. I don't care how hard they try. Right?
Yep.
Because it takes a man or man influence in order to raise a real man. This is why we have such a effeminate culture now. So back to my mom. My mom though, so it came out in abuse. It came out in the fact that she was an alcoholic. And I would always wonder, why I would get the blame for everything. And you got to understand how our society is kind of built. The society is always built, especially before we were cognizant of it today. The society was always built that it was the brown boy's problem. Or in real society, they say the black boy's problem. Black man. The fault is the black man. That's how it was built, right? The same thing they did with the quote unquote Indian, yada yada yada. They're the savages and they're the ones getting their land taken. You know, it's one of those things that's always been like it's this person. And I'm not saying it where I don't necessarily believe in racism and all the isms. I only believe in good and evil. I'm just saying how society portrays these good and evils. Okay, it is what it is. So with my mother though, it will come out in her abuse. She would drink to cover up that emotional trauma that she went through, and she would date men that were toxic to not just myself but her as well. So you know, I went through a childhood of being neglected, abused, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and not just that, getting blamed for those actions. It's nothing like the person who victimizes you, then calls you, you know, a victimizer. You know, but that's the sickness. Especially, you know, that's what alcoholism does. You know what I mean? It erodes because the whole thing with an alcoholic is that they have to cover the fact that they're an alcoholic. So anybody who threatens the alcoholism is a threat to them. That's a part of the sickness. But, you know, a few years ago, I literally forgave her. I forgave her. My conscience is clear. Now I can speak about it truly and openly. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to hide it. I'm trying to hide her secret. It is what it is. I forgave her, but then I told her, now it's time to forgive yourself. And she has not talked to me since. You know what I'm saying? Because why? She's not willing to forgive herself because she's not willing to give up what caused the problems in the first place. So that sickness is no longer mine. I no longer share that sickness. That burden is off me onto her. And all she has to do is pray, repent, accept herself, forgive herself, and realize that, you know, with God, she can do anything. Or even if it's not God, just with the sense of, you know, belief in self, that should suffice. Right? And if people, I don't want to be like this evangelist. You have to be this way. You have to be this way. I just want to present logical choices. Yeah. That's it. In order to stop sickness, and how we stop sickness is being truthful. Because what I like to tell people, especially, is you don't lie to what you love. You tell the truth to what and who you love. If I lie to you, does that mean I love you? It doesn't, right? Like, it doesn't. So, like, you know, when you choose this path, people will say all kinds of stuff to you, but that's a part of the deception. That's a part of the wickedness. So now we're gonna move on to my grandma.
Yep.
I want to end with the, you know, they're both good, right? Everything is good. You know, it depends on how you look at it. But my grandma was a beautiful lady, and the reason why she was a beautiful lady is
shout out to grandma.
This is my great grandma I lived with in Pomona. She was a godsend. You know, she was a person that always said, you can do it. No matter what people say about you, no matter, you just be you. God made you you. Be you. No matter what. She used to tell me there was a war against brown boys. She used to tell me that she was truthful. So at least my eyes were open. I wasn't in the mist. I wasn't in the haze. I never, you know, I'm not saying never, you know, I was in a fallen state before, but I was able to exit this fallen state because of my awareness that she and other people who were godsends in my life presented to me the habits, the just the fortitude in order to overcome these situations. My grandfather was pivotal. You know, he's the one that I feel as though I grew into a man by living by a lot of his principles. The fact that I met my father at 24 years old, and, you know, I had 3 before he passed away. Like, this is godsends. You know, 3-4 years before he passed away, I got a chance to tell him, I forgive you. But he's a man and a woman are different. So now I've experienced this on both levels when it comes to parents, and now I can see why or how some individuals who are, younger, who are suffering from sickness, because most sickness comes from your parents. Sickness of whether it's homosexuality, whether it's fornication, whether it's whatever the illness may be, depression, all that stuff. It usually roots from the home. So I think a lot of times, in order to the medicine, a lot of times is confronting and saying, "I apologize," or "I accept your apology." That can alleviate so much. These are just facts, but a lot of people are scared that other individual, if your mom or whatever, they might depend on them for money, they might depend on them for something, so they're tied to them, and what happens is when you're tied to them like that, it stops you from being truthful. So then you have to carry their burdens unnecessarily, because you sometimes you're afraid that if you tell them the truth, they'll say, and they will no longer, want anything to do with you because you told them the truth. And if that's the case, you need to get away from that individual because they have healing to do. Right?
It's kind of like you're inheriting the hurt that
Yeah.
your mom.
No, we have to relearn, but first we must unlearn. Like it's that simple. You have to unlearn these things. Because our job as the next generation is to do what?
To do better so we can show it
Bam,
in the future.
to our generations. And then they learn from our mistakes. But this last generation is one of the reasons why people are just now waking up to reality. Because this older generation chose to party, chose to, especially in the brown communities.
Turn up!
You feel me? The culture, the music, yada yada yada.
It's normalized.
It's normalized now, and so now we need to get out of this. We got to break every spell, and it's going to take individuals who are so-called black sheeps. Those are the ones that are doing it differently. Do you think demons like angels?
Nope.
Come on, man. I'm not saying that I'm higher than anybody like that. No, I'm just using my brain. You can see, go look on Instagram at Big Pretty MMA, and you can see the videos I'm posting. It's not about shake your ass and roll your titties around in a circle like a helicopter. I'm not talking about nothing like that. I'm talking about things that are uplifting. But you know why I don't get algorithms? Because it is uplifting. It's positive. It activates the positive serotonin in your head, in your mind.
Controversy creates cash. That's what they say.
Exactly. So if I can get a whole bunch of dudes to get on mic to say Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet, they herald these people as heroes. Do you know how sick that is? Like it's literally a sickness that our people need to wake up from. These people are sending their kids to private schools, and our kids, because of the music, are getting shot up in public schools. So we got to start being more intelligent in who we endorse as our representatives.
Tell us about your experience in the foster home system.
The foster care system is a very, very interesting system because, when I look back at it, I felt like the word is a test tube, like a test rat. You know what I mean? Because all the medications they would have me on, I've had literally psychologists. This is why I don't believe in therapists and all that kind of stuff, right? Because therapists is one of those businesses where their whole business is to get you to keep coming back. Shouldn't they want to heal you so you don't have to see these people? But they can't do that because the more you come see those therapists, what happens? They can pay their kids' tuition. They got to pay their medical insurance. They got to pay this. They got to pay that. So they're not really trying to heal you. They're trying to make you become codependent on them. So your codependency, if that's your problem, you're going to love a therapist.
Or as they say, they want to, quote unquote, treat you.
Exactly. No, they should be trying to heal you. Motherfucker, like, so, like, a person comes talk to me. I mean, you can tell. When people come talk to me, it's like, hey, motherfucker, you fucked up. You need to go tell your mama, you sorry. Or you tell your daddy you sorry. You did that to that person, go tell them you sorry. Forgive their apology. Forgive them. And most times, they're blessed. Just like that. Because you are what you hate. You are what you hate. So, in the system, though, you know, I got a chance to be, it was a blessing. I see it as a blessing, right? When you get a chance to go to 23 different homes and stay with, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of people, you know, different people, especially at that nature versus nurture age. I think that was God preparing me for today, because today there is no fooling me. I see past, you know, there's no real games that can fool me, because I had to sit back before, like, nope. And these are days where there was death involved. There was, you know what I mean, there was gruesome things that were involved that if you weren't prepared for. This is kind of like a guy who goes to prison and spends, you know, 20 years, 10 years in prison. When they come out, they're more cognizant of everything around them. But imagine doing that during your developmental years. So that's when I got a chance. That's so it was honestly, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. You know, most people say, "How's that? Fuck is that a blessing?" It's a blessing.
Is it true that you played football for San Jose State University?
I did. I played. First, I played. So out of high school, man, these are interesting stories. Now we're getting this story time.
Let's get it.
You know, I went to Idaho out of high school, but in high school, I was in special ed, and at that time, you could not get into university with special ed credits because they weren't accredited for colleges, right?
Yep.
So, but now you can, and now you can because of individuals like me. And so what I did was I had to take them to court. I had to go all the way up to the top of the NCAA, and I got special waivers. And so I was able to, and so, all right, here's another story. So I was at Idaho for the summer. I went early. I was an early enrollee because, you know, I wanted to get in there and start. So, you know, I went in there. I did the summer workouts with them. That shit was still cold, though, in Idaho. I was like, damn, man, it's July. What is this weather? What is this? You know what I'm saying? But,
Yeah.
you know, literally, it's frosty and shit outside. You know, snow some nights in July. You know, but I was living with this guy on the football team. I believe he's like a kicker or something. And, you know, he had this trailblazer. And this is when I knew, like, God prepared me for this life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I was just getting out of group homes and foster homes. So I was, when you call institutionalized, I was institutionalized to the max. So I was super aware of my surroundings, yada, yada, yada. I was super, like, looking at people like, I'm just getting out. You know what I mean? So we get about 2 months into these summer workouts, this dude had this shady friend, brown guy as well. It's in Idaho. And I always looked at the guy like, man, what's wrong with this dude, man? But his car came up missing. His Blazer came up missing. Came up missing for about 2 weeks. Okay? The first week, you know, the first few days, he was just looking at me like, man, you took my car?
That's messed up.
Right? About a week and a half passed, I get called in to the head coach's office. His name was Coach Holt at the time. And when I got pulled into the office, he was like, did you steal that car? We know you stole it. You stole the car.
Did you, though? No, I'm just kidding.
Tell me, did you steal that car? Where's it at? We'll go pick it up. We won't press charges. I know you stole the car. And I'm sitting there cool as a cucumber like, nah, man, I didn't steal no damn car. I could barely even drive. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna do? I don't know nobody out here. But why would it be believable? So about 3 days go by, and all of a sudden, the friend, his other brown friend, came out. He got caught still in the car.
Wow. Did he even apologize?
No,
to
they
you?
did not apologize.
That's messed up. That's not right.
But then what happened was I just left. I was like, man, F this place, because I wasn't eligible too.
Yeah.
But they wanted me to stay and like get eligible there. I was like, nah, I'm out of here.
It's like you got to stay for like 1 year
Yeah.
before you could play, right?
Yeah. But I didn't want to do that there.
Red shirt.
Yeah, gray shirt, gray.
Also, I want to ask you about this. And I'm hoping that I'm not, butchering his name. Who is Coach Dick Toomey?
Tommy.
And why do people love him so much?
Oh, Coach Tommy, man, it is such a blessing to even speak about this man. He was the man who, when I came out of Idaho, he's the guy who gave me the scholarship, gave me a chance.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I'm forever blessed. But he was a guy who was the realest coach I've ever had in my life, the realest one. He was one that you always can get honesty from him. At all times. It was like if I So I'll tell you a story. Oh shoot! Oh my goodness!
It's time for some pretty interesting stories.
Pretty interesting stories. So I was a freshman in college, and I started my freshman year. Actually, this is my sophomore year. But I started my freshman year. We won the I forget what bowl that was. One of those bowls. And he pulled me in his office. He's like, Justin, we get the people are telling us you smoke weed. I looked at him and I said, are you sure?
I don't know nothing. I don't know who did it.
Then he said, we got this cup for you.
Ooh.
Did you do it? True story. All right, you're suspended for 3 games, and yeah. But the thing is, he was honest. I was a young kid, stupid, obviously, but again, he was honest. Always honest with me. Always fair with me. Always, he was that guy that you really have to. When guys like that pass away, he really did a good justice for, what it means to be a quality human being.
That's like a Cus D'Amato to a Mike Tyson.
Yeah, so like when it came to football, like he was one where you played for him, like you wanted to win because you knew that he believed in you. You knew it. So it wasn't like, I've had coaches before where it's just like, you're just a number. Number 5, 6, 7, 2, pull up. Pick that up, do that. Yip. You don't like those type of coaches. You don't like those type of people, right? Because then it's like, it's not personal, right?
Yeah.
It's not. So you're risking your body, your life, your health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, you're doing nothing but filling this guy's coffers. It has to be a little bit more than that, especially when you understand what sport is really about. Sport is one of those things where passion, like I'm not a very emotional person, but inside of the octagon or inside of, I'm more emotional because then I can be in my primal state. So when you go into war like that, you have to be around people who you trust. And anybody who's treating you like a number, nah. I'm sure even Nick Saban, if he has to, talk to certain guys, he talks to certain guys. If he has to, like he does what he must.
Yep.
Because he's built a great program. So I know he has great habits as a coach.
Speaking of football, I'm just trying to see, how did you transition from playing football into, UFC? Like, did you have aspirations of playing in the NFL one day back when you were in college?
That was never really my passion. My passion was always fighting and combat sports. You know, I think because of my upbringing, I feel like that always prepared me. I didn't really know anything about it like that until I got into college and I started figuring out, well, this is this. Oh, okay, cool. Then I started doing certain sports like judo. I did wrestling my junior senior year in high school. I did pretty good. Only wrestled 2 years. It's one of those things where I started learning, and I'm one of those guys where once I learn, I really do grow and I really do conquer. Like that, so if people adopt that mindset or have that mindset at a very, very young age, by the time you get my age, it's like I'm just gonna figure out what it takes. That's it to get to the next level. Like that's my mind frame. So when I play football, I didn't really like it because of all the politics. So many politics, but the best player didn't always play with a, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's not good. That's not good because it doesn't really, it's not fair. So I know life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. Only a douchebag says that shit. Think about how much of a heartless individual you have to be to say some shit like that to another person. Life ain't fair. Like that's the person that just walks by people who are homeless. Like shit, life ain't fair. Instead of I like to do is I like to go and talk. I want to know whys. I want to know so not just for like them, but also yourself. Because remember, some of those people become homeless like that. One bad move. And so a lot of us in society, or I guess the ones who us in society, a lot of us who have a roof over our heads,
Yeah.
who go to work, who pay bills, who have a car.
And that's a blessing, by the way.
That's a blessing. Just you think, like nobody really cares until it's them or it's a loved one. Do you know how selfish that is as a mindset? It clearly says, biblically, and also just as a human, we're supposed to care about others more than we care about ourselves. We are by nature, not all of us. Some of us, by nature, we're selfless people. We teach ourselves how to be selfish. We teach ourselves how to be selfish. Right? Go ahead.
Going back to fighting, how's the training right now?
Training is good. I'm in excellent shape. I'm ready to go at any time. I need probably a 2-week notice right now, and I'll be ready to go.
And how's training, being able to train with people like DC, Habib, and those people?
That's cool. It's just one of those things. I gotta ask them what it's like to be training with me. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, it's different. You get a chance to go against other people who are also, top athletes in the world, and that's a blessing in itself to be able to be surrounded with other great individuals.